Oh.
Let's change it around to the
Okay.
music room. So,
Music room.
I know, we're fixing it up.
Oh my gosh, huh? Dang. Oh my gosh.
Happy Memorial Day, Cody.
Happy Memorial Day! Woohoo!
It's a holiday in the States, right? It's a big holiday, and it's amazing that you are able to come to your lessons still, right? Given that it's a holiday, right? Again, I am always quite speechless when I see you because I know you're very busy, number one. And two, today's a holiday, but you are able to come to your lesson, right? And spend time with me. So it's amazing, right? I appreciate it.
I say always, Miss E.
Always Miss E.
Well, you are a great student, right? You are a role model. So last time when I saw you, I gave you a listening assignment, right? To listen to Chopin's B minor waltz. So I thought, okay, he'll get to it when he has time. He's very busy. But 2 days later, right after I mentioned it to you, you sent me a recording of you playing it.
Wow.
That's just quite stunning, right? Quite amazing. Because not only have you listened to the recording, obviously, from wherever you found the recording, right? You then learned it, right? And played it, right, for me. It was extremely accurate too, right? So in just 2 days' time, right, after I had told you about the piece, you researched it up, you learned it, and you played it, and you recorded yourself playing it, and you sent me the recording.
Dang.
That's wonderful, right? And I just heard your mom saying that you go to this room, your music room, and play on your own, right, all the time. That's wonderful, right? Do you have any tips? Do you have any tips for other students
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
struggle with practice?
Dang.
What does practice mean for you, Cody?
What? Practice means perfect.
So when you practice something, right, what do you do?
Morning practice is the better you get.
Thank you for the tip,
Um,
right? And so if you want to be better at piano or anything, you practice, right? But it's hard to find the motivation sometimes, right? Sometimes we're distracted by whatever else happens in our life, and we feel we gotta do those things first, right? Or prioritize those things first. It's hard to find time, right? Sometimes people are very busy. It's very hard to find time, but you're very busy too.
wow.
But you find time, right?
Oh my gosh.
So, okay, well,
Wow.
why don't you play the B minor waltz so today we can talk about it?
Woohoo. Yeah. Woohoo. Yeah. Woohoo.
That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, right? Okay, well, so can you tell me, right? Did you listen to one recording of it, two recording of it, three recordings of it? How many?
Gosh, dang. That's cool, huh? Oh my
Hmm.
gosh.
Do you remember?
Ooh, I remember that, huh? I will recording, huh?
And do you remember the artist? Like, who did you hear playing it?
Oh my gosh. That's me, huh? Oh my gosh. I was so mean, huh? That's cool, huh? Like what?
Well, anyway, whoever you did hear, right? I don't know who it was, but
Oh my
it
gosh.
was. I mean, you played it quite accurately, right? There were only a few notes that sort
Wow.
of didn't sound quite right, right? Not very many at all. I think most of them were in the trio section. So
Wow.
the piece is kind of in two parts, right? Well, it's in three parts: part A, part B, and then you go back and play part A again, right? So part A is in B minor,
Oh,
so
D
it's
minor.
called Waltz in B minor, right? And then part B, which is called the trio section, right? Is
Section.
completely contrasting. It's a different character and even key signature altogether. So now we're in B major, right? So it's a
Wow.
major key. And then after that, we go back, we do da capo of the main section again.
Wow.
Okay?
Dang.
So Chopin does that a lot, doesn't he? Right? He this ternary form, right, is his favorite. Right?
Favorite.
So like the waltz in C sharp minor, well, it wasn't quite ternary form, but that idea of the contrasting section being in the opposite key, right, is what he likes to do a lot. So the waltz in C sharp minor, this one, right? Remember that one, right? In the middle section, we have D flat major, right?
So,
Yep, so C sharp and D flat, right? It's called a tonic, right? So instead of calling it C sharp, he calls it D flat. So it's, he goes to the tonic parallel key, right? Basically. So B minor was the beginning, and then now we have B major in the middle, and then we go back to the B minor. So let's do the trio section because most of your wrong notes were in this section, right? And like I said, there were so few of them, right? Like definitely not that many.
wow.
But of course, in the lesson, we'll try to fix them all, right? So this guy, right? This A sharp, right? Eventually, you did play it, but the very first A sharp, I didn't hear you play. Okay, okay. So A sharp, right, right, right. Okay, your turn.
Ooh.
Better, better. Okay, all right. So again, I
Wow.
think we mentioned this before. Whenever we play Chopin waltz, right? pedal is really something we want to think about, because by changing the way we pedal, right, we can vary the music, so it doesn't sound like so repetitive, right? So this is typical waltz pattern, right? We can pedal very legato, so we just wait until the next measure, right? We just wait until the next measure, so we play in a very legato manner, right? That's like kind of the default, right? So most of the time that is how we pedal, but sometimes, right, find opportunities to be more lively. In other words, so that was totally legato, so the second version would be, see, that's not so legato, right? So that has a little bit more lilt, right? So I kind of, right, kind of like that, right, for this section. So just to brighten it up, and doesn't sound completely the same. And then of course you could also take that one step further, so then you become, right, so you are even more shorter. So what would that sound like, right? It would sound even more shorter, right? Which I don't think worked for this in this case, right? I do like the melody to be a little more legato. If we let go of the pedal here, I think it's too snappy, okay? But it is a possibility, right? Especially for the C sharp minor waltz, right? That worked, didn't it, right? So da 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 da. For that one, it worked because the right hand was so busy and was the overall faster piece, right? So it worked to let go of the pedal on the second beat. But I'm bringing basically your attention to the pedaling, right? So always think about when we play Chopin's waltz, right, that the pedal is not a one rule fits all, right? Certainly would not be like once you decide which way to go, and you would just stick to that for the whole entire piece, right? It depends on which section you're dealing with. Okay, and then this is what happens here. Right, sorry. Right? Well, he harmonizes the melody, right? So now on my music here, for some reason it has double thirds, but from memory it was here. So I'm gonna try to find another copy of the score. Can you go from this section over again, please?
Nice. Woohoo.
Oh, that's the F sharp now. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the go backs, right? It goes back to the beginning. Okay, so there was a golden opportunity to really change the sound, right? In that trio section. Do you know which part I'm talking about? It was when we went to minor, right? So we were happy, right? We were in B major for the second part, but then there was a sudden change of character, right? So let's find the right here, right? So you have right, and then minor, right? That's so right. right, to go into that minor key. So
Yeah.
how do we prepare for that minor section? Well, a little time, right, would be quite appropriate, right? So after da, 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 take a little bit of time to go into the minor key. Okay. All right. So anyway, I am having a little bit of a hard time finding this piece on my iPad.
Wow.
Sometimes
Dang.
I have so much music on my Fourscore app.
Wow.
If I don't update the name and the
Alright.
composer, right, I have a hard time finding it myself later. I'm finding a little bit. Okay, so then of course I'm trying to
Wow.
find it on the internet, and I'm seeing like a gazillion different versions of this piece because it was published after Chopin died, right? So because he lived such a short life, right, a lot of his music did not get published, right, until after he died. So then of course editors could not have anybody to verify, right, what Chopin wanted. So there, are discrepancies. So anyway, let's go back to the
Nice, huh?
opening section, right? And play the main part again, please.
Yeah. Ooh. All right. Oh. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Kodi, for your patience. So I have finally found the version that most closely resembles how I remember the piece, right? Like I said, just now I found so many different versions of the piece. It was driving me a little bit crazy. But now I found one that, like I said, most closely resembles how I had learned it myself.
Dang. Wow.
Now, like I said, the melody became harmonized, right? It was single note melody, right? So, and then at some point it got harmonized, right? Now, one version that I saw earlier was harmonizing it with double thirds, which is not how I remembered it. So I was trying to find a version that is what I remembered, which was this version, which I like better. Okay, so there, this interval became larger, right? So make sure, right? You see, it's an open fifth there, right? So double third, right? See that harmony was different, right? And this is what I mean, minor, a little bit more sensitive, right? But now this version, there's a questionable bass note, right? There's a questionable. So far I haven't found one version that is the one I like the most, right? Now this isn't that interesting. There are G sharp versions and G natural versions, right? So I kind of like the G natural version, right? But the reason I thought of this piece for you to learn is because I heard somebody play this piece quite recently in a competition. My student was doing a competition, and one of the player, right, played this piece. She is very young, of course.
Oh my
God! It quite musically, right? but it bothered me a bit, right? Even though she was very musical, you could tell that she was playing all the accents like crazy, right? And in the score, right, there are accents. So it wasn't like she just dreamed up this accent, right? There are these accents, but I think the problem was she was just treating it too literally, right? So all the accents would be like, right? Right? Now you of course are not doing any of that, right? Because you're not seeing the music, so you're not being misled, I guess, right, by the accent markings. So the point I'm making, and I say this to my students a lot, right, is sometimes we look at the score, right, and we have to absolutely do everything justice. So whatever we see in the score, we do, right? It is non-negotiable, of course. It's the composer's intention. But sometimes we cannot look at every symbol and every marking and, kind of follow it too literally, right? In other words, you cannot assign an absolute value to every symbol. So an accent, right, means the note is more important. That is true. But it doesn't always mean, of course, that it's going to be like extremely loud, right? In this case, I would say all the accents were more sort of just leaning, right? Which you are kind of doing, right? But you could do more, right? So really lean into all those ties, right? Lean into it, right? Lean into it, okay? So rather than accenting it, okay? All right, so let's try from the very beginning, right? And remember to do the accent. Well, they are not accents, they're just more leaning notes, right? And usually tied over, right, across the bar line. Go. Good. I see you, Lee. Let's vary it. Let's vary the pedal, right? Because it's brighter, right? Right. So 2, 3, right? Let go of the pedal. Yep. So it has more lilt. Yes, that's what I mean. Oh, so that's a change of character right here, right? It's said again, right? So over there's what we call a transition, right? So the pedal can be different, and of course you can take the time, right? So after you do this, see I'm legato, right? Now back to the lilt, right? But that measure, right, was completely legato, and I took some time, right? And then after that, I go back to the lilt, and also I kind of pick up the speed a little bit, right? So can you go from the beginning of this section, which is da 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 da. See, it takes some time. All right, and then back to the lilt.
Wow.
section, right? And because right hand is quite legato, and also this part is somewhat more livelier, right? I think in the repeat you could change the pedal, right? So in the repeat, you could perhaps let go of this pedal on the second beat rather than the and then pick up again. You could probably lean on those notes a little bit more, right? So I'm sorry, lean on it, right? Lean on it, right?
Wow.
Yeah, so lean on those third beat.
Wow.
Okay. Okay, now I think one possible interpretation for this part, and I
Wow.
think it could sound quite magical, right? Is to soft pedal this whole entire trio section. Have you tried it, right? So soft pedal, of course, is the left foot, right? On the left pedal, it kind of just mutes everything, right? And it gives it a very different color, a very different feeling altogether, right? So we don't just use the soft pedal to like play soft, right? Which is what most people do. Like, oh, I need to play soft, so let me use the soft pedal. Right? That's possible, but that should not be the main reason, right? To use the soft pedal. The main reason to use the soft pedal should be to change color,
Wow.
change character, right? Change mood. So I think it would be quite appropriate, right? It will give it a very magical effect, I think, right? Try it. Thank you. Extra softer. Okay, now after that, you return to the beginning, right? I would sit on that note a little bit longer. Okay, what does sit on it longer mean? Right, right. Well, because I'm not trying to play the notes I'm seeing in front of me because it's not the version I remember. What I mean is, by the time you go back to the F sharp, can you be very, very, very clean on this just this F sharp, right? So we don't have any hangover, right? So something like that, right? You see what I mean? So that transition, that top F sharp, which brings us back to the opening section, is extremely alone, right? Without any of the chord in the left hand.
Wow. Dang.
You could remember if you could figure out what I mean, right? Show me. But if not, it's completely not your fault, right?
Dang. Wow.
Go. Like that. Well, I don't think you want to do that again, right? Because the music could just go on and on and on, right? So the more I try to find the sheet music for this piece, the more I realize, wow, I don't think I've seen another Chopin waltz that has this many different versions, right? Some of it is just so completely different than what I remembered. Okay, like I said, one of the problem is that it was published posthumously, right? So it's like, and maybe it wasn't even completed. I have a feeling it never probably was even completed. And a lot of his music was kind of like that, right? Like a lot of the music that got published later after he died, people just found fragments of the piece. So then they had to kind of like make up what they think might have been his original intention. Anyway, but if we don't do something, the piece could just go in a loop. So somehow we gotta tell people, right? There's no more, right? So. That final time has got to have a much bigger slowdown, I think. Right? So there is the or right? So two different versions there, right? But the big slowdown is quite necessary, right? And then thank you. And to emphasize the fact that there wasn't a chord on the third beat, right? So I let go of the pedal, right? So it's very, very, again, the word I'm using is lonely, right? Sometimes the right hand is fully supported by the harmony in the left hand. Sometimes it's just very lonely, but that makes it very special, right? It stands out, okay? And another thing you could do with this descending scale is don't play it all legato, right? So sometimes we play very legato, right? Super legato. Now, I did hear you lean on those notes, thank you. Right. You lean onto it because we were just talking about it today, right? So you are paying attention for sure. Now this one, see, a little bit half staccato, right? Just to vary it, right? So rather than like super legato, do you hear what I did? Right, it was a little bit sort of like a half staccato, right? So it's not completely legato, but I also, of course, did not go that short, right? So it's more of a reluctant, right? Do you want to try that, right?
Yeah.
Something like that, right? Okay. All right, so you understand me. And I heard you also at times thinking about, oh, it's probably a good idea for me to change the pedal up a little bit, right? So I'm not always, legato. So as you were playing, I noticed that you were aware of that.
Wow.
So just to give you an idea of how interesting this version is, right? That this is the first one I had found. This was probably published extremely long time ago.
Wow.
The writing, right, is like the old-fashioned font, right? So anyways, it has like so many more ornaments, right? I had never seen it this version before, but it's kind of not terrible, right? So this version has this. Right? And even has D sharp, right? No, that just definitely doesn't work. Right? I can't believe it. That's what I mean. It was very confusing for me to be reading this version and not playing it the way I remembered it. But I thought this ornament, right? It's not that bad. Right? I wouldn't do it on every single time. But because this main theme returns so much, right? I think on one of the return, right, you could, right? But changing to D sharp, no, that's way too strange, right? And even this bass note is different, right? So, all right, so that's one version I saw, but I did like, right? Oh, and then it did it again, all right? And here's the D sharp again, right? So I didn't like the D sharp, but I thought all those different ornamentations could be possible, right?
Wow.
Even things like, right? There's an ornament there. Do you hear that? So there was a little da-dum, right? A little appoggiatura. And actually, it happens quite a lot. I'll play the version it is, right? Yeah. Now, again, these are just ideas for you, right? Right? And then he says... Okay, then it's the same, right? Oh, actually not, right? So he dotted the rhythm, right? Instead of da 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 da, it goes da 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 da. Right, and then it's the same. Did you like the ornamentation? I kind of like it. I kind of liked it, right? So what we can think about is, of course, do just the main note, right, the very first time, and then when we repeat, do the slight appoggiatura, right, on some of the melody notes, just to create interest, right? And
Yeah.
That's something Chopin does a lot anyway, right? In a lot of his other compositions where he would repeat the material, but he would embellish the actual melody, right? So it isn't completely out of the question to be doing that. Do you want to try that?
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. Thank you. You did pick up all the things I just did, right? So there's another one I just noticed. Right? Right? That he turned that into a triplet. Da, 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 da. That's how we normally do it. Here. Da, 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 da. Right? And because of the added triplet, that main note also got changed, right? Mm-hmm. You see how get another variation, right?
Nice.
So the point is, of course, right, in your own playing, right, whenever you repeat something, right, I think the biggest point I'm trying to make is whenever we repeat something, we do not want to do it exactly the same.
Wow.
And if it was Bach, right, totally as you repeat, you would embellish, right? You can really go to town with ornamentation,
Wow.
especially in the dance movements, right, in the suites. When you make repetitions of each of the sections, it is expected that you would do that, right? And it becomes a treat for the audience or for the listener because each artist would do their own thing, right? And it will be quite just a treat to listen to what a particular artist has in mind, right? When they repeat the section, we almost don't do it anymore, right? In music after Bach, strangely enough, right? So this art of improvisation kind of got lost, right? For some reason, right? But in the Baroque period, it was completely expected of the performer, right, to be adding these embellishments when they repeat. And then in the classical period, people kind of didn't do it anymore unless, right, they play a concerto and there's the cadenza part, right, where the pianist can really play anything they want, right? But still, apart from the cadenza, the other parts, right, people for some reason just kind of don't improvise anymore and you just play kind of note for note, right? And then in the Romantic period, I guess most composers were already so detailed and so they already kind of write the embellishments into the music, like Chopin, right? So then we also don't hardly do it, right? We just kind of play the score as it is written by the composer because it's already so usually it's already kind of figured out for you. It's very complex already, right? But I think this piece definitely allows room, right, for this embellishment because the main melody repeats so much and it's not very difficult, right? So if you only play it the way it is, I actually do think it's a little plain, right? So I'm kind of in a way glad that for some reason I couldn't find my original version of this piece on my iPad, so I had to just research online to find other versions, and then I realized, gee, oh, there are many versions of this piece. Okay,
Wow.
so that opened up our whole conversation, right?
Hey.
Okay, well,
Woo.
should we review one old piece
Yeah.
before you go? So what other piece would you like to review for me?
Yeah.
So this was a kind of a newish one, right?
Oh my goodness.
So
Wow.
what would you like to review?
Oh my goodness. It's a review, huh?
Any piece you want.
Oh my gosh. Ooh. Oh. That was cool. Yes. It's cool, huh?
It's very cool.
That's cool, huh?
the E minor waltz? Sure.
Yeah. Woohoo. Oh, that's it. Woohoo.
Good job.
Wow.
Good job, right? Okay, so don't forget to keep reviewing so that you keep retaining these pieces right in your repertoire. So remember, I always say the E minor one is all about arpeggios, right? So your opening arpeggio and your last arpeggio at the end, right? They want to be absolutely spotless. So
Wow.
I know you can't see the music, right? But
Oh.
just for whoever, if anybody's watching. So Murphy's Law would have it. I finally found the score on my iPad of the B minor waltz, right? So this is the score that I sort of go by, right? But I just could not find it at the beginning of your lesson. for whatever reason. I think it's because I put a space between the OP and the 69. So when I was searching on my files, I put a space there, and in this version there was no space, so it didn't show up on my search. So anyway, I actually finally found it on my iPad. But now, of course, we don't have time anymore. But we can always come back to review it. It doesn't mean this particular version is the authoritative version, right? Because who knows, right? But anyway, that is the version I normally teach by, right? So, but that was quite interesting that it finally showed up on my search at the end of our lesson, right? But I still think it was interesting, right, for me to have found those other versions and just to see what other people think of the piece, and also it opened up the conversation about being able to add, right, embellishments to the melody, which Chopin does anyway. So I think it's highly appropriate, right, for that B minor waltz. I don't think you need to do it for the E minor waltz because it's already so fancy, right? So there's not a lot of opportunity because it's faster and it's already very varied. But anyway, for this one, it was appropriate. Okay, Kodi, so I guess I need to give you another listening assignment, right? So this time, why don't you do, I'm trying to find it.
Oh my goodness.
Trying to find the number for you.
Oh my goodness. Ooh.
Okay, this one is a famous one, right? So it's Opus 18. Okay, so the waltz Opus 18 in E flat major, right? And the beginning goes like. Right. That one, okay? So go and listen to that one, right? And make that your listening assignment and homework for this week.
Wow.
Okay, it's a long one and it's a hard one. Okay, but I think you will enjoy it.
Wow.
Okay, happy Memorial Day. Bye bye.
Memorial Day. Bye bye.
Bye.